Welcome to another weekend here on the platform. My name is Omatseye. My column, When Eagles Gather, will be read to you shortly.
News reports often suggest apocalypse looms over Nigeria, but recently, under the romantic afterglow of Valentine's Day in oil-rich Uyo, the nation veered to a fest, if for a day. Away from the blood-spattered turmoil of Boko Haram, the quicksand of kidnappers, the brutal hours of the herdsman, and the partisan partitions of our politics, Akwa Ibom presented a nation of ethno-religious balm. For a nation where deaths and funerals contort every narrative of conciliation, something gave us a paradox of good news: death. Udom Emmanuel, the state governor, lost his father, Elder Gabriel Emmanuel Nkanang. He invited his countrymen and women to bid him farewell. They came from the north, from the east, and from the west. It was not a Vladimir Nabokov's invitation to a beheading. It was the beauty that came out of a death. As Christ said, "Where the body is, there shall the eagles gather." They gathered in Uyo. Honey flowed out of a moment of human passing. Death was not proud. It did not triumph. It coalesced the good of the national soul away from the hurly-burly of tribe and faith. That was what we witnessed at the funeral of Elder Emmanuel. At the service, as if for a metaphor, a pastor was giving his sermon, and the Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, glided in. All his Islamic grandeur and Fulani royalty composed themselves for the Christian obsequies. At that moment, it was not about whose God was true, whose land was whose. It was about peace with a fellow man who lost his dear father. There was no herdsman, no gunshot, no sword, but just the word. We saw former President Goodluck Jonathan swathed in supine smile and sitting with the Owu chief, two men who sparred not sweetly over the years, yet they could share their banter, and the Owu chief, who has sparred with the APC-run federal government, also spared a handshake with the vice president. The hand this time was not for ripping party cards. No battle there, no ribbing of Aso Rock for ridding us of appointments, no verbal combats over an economy adrift or over elections. Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwa embraced Fayemi even though both are leaders of their party's governors' caucuses, Tambuwa having ascended the mantle as the chairman of PDP Governors Forum. Fayemi takes charge of all governors' canvass. They didn't spar over the new turn in Bayelsa State. Governor Doye Diri, Double D, was less than 24 hours in the saddle, but no APC chieftain recoiled from him, not Oshinbaju, not Senate President Hamid Lawan. River State Governor Nyesom Wike reserved his voice of scratchy sonority for condolences and congratulations, even if a few days earlier he baited the APC chairman and warrior Adams Oshomole. Wike must, however, have relished meeting with Godwin Obaseki, the Edo State governor, over their mutual unease with Adams. There might have been whispers, but the optics of that day was for peace, but not for what folks from Warri, not far away, call Jigabele, that is malice. A day like Elder Emmanuel's funeral was to bury divisions and not praise party loyalty. No party daggers drawn, no looks of deferred fights. Even the president, the APC chief of chiefs, though not present, sent a note to Governor Emmanuel about his father. As a fulfilled man, he not only raised a son, but a leader. It was no day to bicker over the virtues of Amotekun, the manipulative vices of Kano and his Biafra, or the poo-pooing of its counterpart in the north to bemoan Lear or beheaded priests. It was no day to think division. It was a day for peace and feasting. For the day, it was not north or south or east or west. It was a single nation united by the grief of one of their own. As he welcomed his guests, Governor Udom's heart must have hummed with the words of the prophet Ezekiel. I accept you all as fragrant incense. That is the true smell of Nigeria. It was for Elder Emmanuel. It was for all of us.
Joining me on the Big Talk segment today is a special guest. Somebody who has been a sort of role model from childhood. For me, she is a performer, an actress, a writer, an editor, an actress. What else can I say? She is Taiwo Ajai-Lycett. Welcome to this show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
When I said I was going to interview you, the first thing that came to my mind was she didn't really set out to be an actress. She went to study business. She was working with some corporate organizations in the UK, and she stumbled into acting. When you look back, what kind of trajectory did you ever think your life was going to take?
I had no idea whatsoever. And that's what fascinates me about my life and about life generally. That we think we know where we're going, but we don't. I know some people object to the idea of predestination. I know that. But quite frankly, I don't think we have any power.
About where we're going?
No. But we ought to choose a purpose. We ought to live with a sense of purpose. And what my life taught me is that whatever it is that is handed to you to do, whatever assignment you've been given, you had better do it absolutely very well, absolutely well, exceedingly well, because it's a privilege, it's an honor, it's a challenge. So when I was thrown into acting, somebody handed me a purpose in life. I had no idea where it was going to lead me. But being a Nigerian, and that's one of the things I think we have left out of our upbringing and raising of children, we are perfectionists. It's not supposed to be a positive thing to be a perfectionist clinically.
Yes.
But everything we have to do, we make sure that we know about what we're doing. I'm not sure that's what we are doing right now.
But you had not been acting. At that time, you had not been acting. Maybe
No.
you did in primary school, secondary
No.
school. You didn't.
No.
And you were around, it was Jero Place. No, Lion and the Jewel.
Lion and the Jewel.
It was in London.
Yeah.
And you just happened to be around and they said, come on, play.
So I believe that we must live our lives so that we are always in the right place at the right time, so that we can get the best opportunities handed to us. That's what happened. So it does mean that you have to be careful where you go, how you go, and people you interact with. They say, show me your friends, and I tell you who you are. I think there's a grain of truth in that. This is what happens, but also life, even if I was in Timbuktu, I will be in that spot where I'm told what to do. And because I'm such a risk taker, and I am indeed a risk taker, I'm a woman, but an adventurous. And anything that's coming, I want to see the other side of it. I want to find out, I want to take that journey and find out what it means, what it's leading me to. I'm not afraid to find out that I'll be mauled or I'll be humbled, because every lesson, everything that happens to you is a lesson. And my life is a canvas, is a tapestry of all these things that have happened to me. So I didn't know anything. There was not a time I grew up thinking, oh, I'd like to be a performer. No, which fascinates me now, because
Anybody who sees you as a natural performer.
Yeah, there isn't anything natural about us, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
You know, we have the seed of something,
Yes.
and we have to water that seed.
And germinate.
And before it really germinates. And also part of that is that anything is possible. We are, well, not I hate to use that word, magician, but we are made of possibilities. We can be anything we want to be.
So when you finished acting that day and you were rapturously praised for your performance, and did you say, wow, let me go and study how to be an actor, or let me see whether there is a way out there for me?
No,
but this was in the UK.
Yeah, when I was received like that, the effect on me was that, my God, my goodness, I am a fraud. I'm an impostor. These people don't know that I'm not an actor. And the Nigerian pride, I will not be found out to be an impostor. Then I must learn this thing. Because if they saw a germ of something, then I must fish it out. Yes. I must find out what it is, because I didn't know about it, particularly because I had no idea that I had the potential or even an inkling of something like that. And here are people saying this. Next week I was working at the BBC, and everything just went ballistic. And I said, I'm going to be found out if I don't pull up my socks. And so I entered into a flurry of study. Even though I was working, yes, all my spare time was taken, and it's made me a perpetual student, which I'm sure I don't want to even give up. Although I was working, so I got myself coaches, private coaches. I went to school, City Literary Institute. I went to Guildhall School of Music and Drama, one of the two top rather, and Guildhall. And I had singing teachers, I had all manner of things. I was dancing. It was while I was learning to be this actor that people thought I was, which I didn't believe I was, that I was discovered. Somebody was watching a dance class at the dance center, Floral Street, London, and recruited me to join a cast of dancers to appear in Wagner's Tannhauser. At the Premier Opera House, Royal Opera House, Covent Garden. This is how my career just went like that, from zero to stratosphere. That's fascinating. I haven't recovered from the awesomeness of the way my career is going, and it's still going, even at this age.
You've done some acting recently.
Yeah.
Now, you did some work in the UK, and then you came to Nigeria. Why did you come back home?
Festac was happening, and I said, "Oh, fantastic! We got a national theatre built." Oh, I was going to be really going now, and I should come. I was a secretary for the UK Festival Committee, and I said, "I'll come, Festac, and the theatre will be there, and there's work to be done."
Yes.
Of course, being Nigeria, it didn't turn out like that, but I was in the first show at the National Theatre after Festac.
What was that show?
Wale Ogunyemi's The Divorce.
The Divorce.
With the absolutely... if you're talking about actors, the premier actor in Nigeria, and I'm sure some people know about Jimmy Srilanka.
Yes.
He was playing my husband. I have not had as much excitement and challenge about acting as that man. He has the voice, he has the skill, he had everything going, and two of us were going like who, you know, whatever it is. And it was standing room only at that National Theatre.
Yes.
After Festac. It was the first production we did. And so I thought, well, I was home at last.
But you've also collaborated with quite a few over the years, quite a few Nigerians.
Tunji Oyelano.
Yes. People remember that.
Mr. Considered Opinion.
Mr. Considered Opinion. Say, right? Is it WRITE or right? RIGHT.
No, we've done some fantastic work.
Yes.
We have not matched all of that since.
Yes.
And that is sad. That is a great sadness for me.
So why is that?
For those of us who were doing that, we were anointed, if you like.
No. You're trying to make yourself look like, was it because you were special or because the circumstances, the sociology of the time?
Circumstances, sociology of the time. We were trained.
Yes.
We were trained, and we knew we had an idea of what the horizon portended. And we had a sense of mission. And we knew it wasn't about stardom, it's about the work. It's not the sort of thing we have now. It's glitz, it's glamour, it's see me, it's anti-pretty. We didn't know any of that then. I thought if you had a bit of work, a great work that you have to do, it didn't matter whether your face was like the back of a bus. It was the idea. We were portraying ideas. When I say anointed, I didn't mean we were that special, but we were ordained. We were we were innocents in the business, and we were following that. That's the anointing I mean. We do not, it's not the anointing of being the specialness that we have, of people diva, no. Now, Jimmy Srilanka could be a diva because he
earned it.
Ooh, it didn't have to be a diva, but that's what he is. It's special, it's still special.
Yes.
He has great presence, he had great voice, he had great imagination, and great force. And it was as an actor is unbeatable in my mind, and I worked with quite a few of them. But I still pray to.
So tell me about some of them that you work with. Tell me about Soyinka.
I've done Soyinka's work. It's very difficult to talk about Soyinka. Soyinka, when we were doing his work, which was where I came into acting. We didn't see him. I don't think he was very happy with them. That was the premiere of Lion and the Jewel. And we never saw him.
He was not happy with the...
He wasn't happy. I don't think he was happy with the interpretation, but that's my idea about it. And I've also...
Did you discuss it with him?
You never saw him to talk to. It's always elusive when it comes to his work.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't see him, and I worry about that. I've worked with other...
Even Biodijo wrote a column in which he talked about it, that Soyinka never wants to... He was on this show too. He spoke a little bit, but not quite.
I think it's a question of when you do a job of work.
You leave it there.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. You leave it there, let everybody interpret.
Yeah, it's not for you to be talking about...
To intrude into what is already there. Because there's this a theory about writing that says that the writing itself is a text, that once you've written it, you are dead. You don't know anything about it.
It has a character of its own.
Robert Browning once said, he said, when I'm writing, only God and I know. Yeah. But once I've written, only God knows. Yeah. So in other words, once you've written, it's over. Yeah. And there are theories like Roland Barthes and one other author wrote a question, who is an author? And also there's a question who says, the death of an author. That immediately you write, the text is out there. Just like the Constitution. It's just like anything. That people now, it is left for the society, the times, and the people to decide whatever.
That's when it gets life. And you really don't, I can understand that writer thinking that, you know, I don't want to intrude. I've done my bit.
Do you now exercise too much latitude? Do you get a sense that you exercise too much latitude and take too much liberty at texts other people have written? And do you sometimes worry that you're overstepping your bounds with interpreting what has been written?
If you don't see performers as partners in the interpretation of your work, you might come to that conclusion. But I don't think so. As you said, once you've put a text down, you are divorced from that text.
You kind of lose ownership.
You must lose ownership.
It does something to the writer's ego.
I don't know why, because you have put something in the ether, so to speak.
Yes.
You have lost control. It is your perspective you've put down. And fingers are not equal. That's the reason the world is like this. Everybody, we all come to contribute a perspective to a point of view before it becomes whole. That's how we reach divinity. That's how he wants us to reach him. He's put us there for us to see different perspectives.
But Srilanka once, in the introduction to his Death and the King's Horseman, took objection to the interpretation of that text as culture clash.
Yeah.
And it was specific about that. And one other play, I think Operawanyosi wrote
it was
intros,
younger,
yes.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Now he would not take that
Go do
perspective.
that, yes.
Yes, it was younger, you know,
Yes,
young
yes,
writer, and,
exuberance,
you know,
yes.
and he knows what he's put down,
Yes.
and everybody must agree with that.
With that.
That's his perspective.
Yes, that's his perspective.
That's
yes.
his perspective.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about people who perform other people's works, I knew Conor Cruz O'Brien. I was in a play at the Dublin International Festival. The play was about Lumumba, about the death of Lumumba. And the contribution of the United Nations, Dag Hammarskjöld to his death,
yes.
the complicity
of the West.
Of the West to his murder.
Yes.
And Conor Cruz O'Brien wrote this, and I played Lumumba's wife, Pauline. And they came to tell me about my husband's death. At that time, I still am very political. But I took umbrage at what was done to him. I didn't have a line in that play. And they came to break the news of his death to me. And I said to the producer, they're all white, I'm an African. And I'm invested in this character. Yeah. And I said, well, I must do a dirge for him. Where I come from, we do wakekeeping, we do a dirge. What has happened to him?
Deserves a dirge.
Deserved it. It wasn't in the script. When you're talking about you write a script and people do go take liberties with them. I would like to do a dirge for him. So we set up this scene at night. And the only dirge I knew was where we were living in Papa Road. In the next compound, I never saw the players. They used to rehearse there. Yeah. And there used to be a song about a warrior that had gone and a lament for him to come back and save people. And I did this dirge in Yoruba. It was in Yoruba. I did this dirge. I was told that if a pin dropped, you would hear in the house. I was the toast of the town the following day, front page, everything. It added, at the close of the play, the writer said, gave me a huge bouquet of flowers and thanked me for doing more for his play than he knew how to do it. Yes. So you cannot condemn people from seeing different perspectives. We can add to that. And if you trust your actors, and some of us are academic about our acting.
What do you mean by that?
You have to study the script. And the more you read a script, you've just read the more you see. Now, are you going to say, I should not point those new dimensions? So you come to that. You illuminate, I call it illuminating the text for the audience. So you come to that. You're not taking liberties. You're trying to communicate what the writer, perchance, might mean
by what is said.
Yeah, because that's how it reaches you, and you might reach other people like that. So, no, you don't take liberties with people's writing if you're a serious performer. You try to plumb the depth of their thinking.
You look at the liberty in the text.
Yeah.
Rather than take
The
liberty.
loophole, yeah. You look at that because that's what it's telling us to do. It's putting a challenge in front of us.
Yes.
That's what, if you're a writer and performing, that's what you've
Triggered.
You've thrown down the gauntlet at me, and therefore I have to study.
Yeah.
I don't just read the text on the face of the words you read.
Yeah.
What are the subtexts of what you're talking about? What are the nuances you want us to see?
Yes.
And the actors might bring some that you hadn't even thought you were saying.
Yes. Well, we have had Taiwo Ajai-Lycett, and we shall continue next week. Just before the program ends, this is my poem in honor of Leah Sharibu. I didn't hear him, I didn't see him. I did both. Tears flowed from his words. He spoke in rhythm, soldiers in lockstep, a martial pariah, fighting and begging, hugging you and snatching you away, Leah. A graveyard roiling against heaven. It was Nathan Sharibu, your father, feeling you. Thank you for watching the program today. You can catch up with my published column on www.samomashe.com. Also follow me on Twitter. My handle is @samomashe. Until next time, be good.